So it said, V'zehu inyan milus atod. So we went to the word Baruch, and we talked to Baruch over there, bringing down the Shefa into Bria. Now in Ata we have a different situation. Ki Ata is the next word. Ki as the first two letters, Heim Kaf Beis Osian, Sheyesh Min Aleph Ad Tov Ba Aleph Beis. So that's At means Aleph to Tov. V'oz Heim Chamesh Osius Mansapaka Yiserim. So then the final letter indicates it's the 22 letters plus the 5. Tevis Ata Chamamara Al Kaf Zayin Osius Shabiyasod. Ki Osius S, or the At part, Ramazam Al Kaf Beis Osius Me'alad Av Tov. So that's the reference to that. The Os He Meramezes Al Chamesh Osius Kafulos, which are Mansapach. Va'inyan Rayo. Now, just thinking about Rayo, all the different things he's about to say in the next few parts is not going to tell us what the Rayo does. It tells you this Rayo is a very important part here. There's all different kinds of ways that we're going to look at this Rayo. But if we go back to the Sifra Tzniuta, then he's telling us that the Rayo is really the Kli, that is the Kli, the making of the Kli. There's two things that happened in the first Yichud of Abba Be'ima, say, for example, is the making of a Kli, is part of it. Mochim and Kli. That Kli will be implanted into this Yesod of the Nook. It becomes the Kli of the Nook. That's what I think I remember. Now we're going to go a different direction. We're going to go B'hinam Raya Sheyesh Ata Heim Shlosh Pa'amim Rayo. There's 3 different times that you see this Rayo. Now, he didn't mean 3 times 216. Commotion and Voyer, so we're going to explain that. Tevis Ata Yesh Baruch Shlosha Ofanim. There are 3 different ways. Ketzad he removes the B'chinas Rayo. So we're going to go through the different aspects of how we see the Rayo in this word. So let's see how it goes. Or this situation. Arishon hu kitabin. The covenant should be ki hu b'gematria 2, 460, 406. So what is the communion Rayo, which is 216 plus Sfat, which is 190. So Rishon ki ata hu b'gematria 2. So he said communion Rayo Spach. So what's Spach? Spach is the last 3 letters of the Mansapach. So why are we only dealing with this? So now these are harder for me to really see the connection between them. So he says once again, what we're trying to do is sweeten this mansapach shal hamalchus, which is now in malchus. Because why? Bringing down this mansachas ramos behei shal ata kenisker. So that's the first thing, this hey that we were talking about in the word ata. That means that we're bringing into malchus what his words are. The hamtek is a mansapach shal malchus. Malchus is mansapach. Let's see what how the Tiv writes it. Ramos behei shal ata kenisker v'ha'inyan. So ha'inyan shemekuvana b'chal b'chinas mansapach. So the inyan is this to begin with. So this is because by streaming down the 5 osios, mansapach, this is the kavana, this is a kavana, mamtikin, we're sweetening over here. Mamtikin, chamesh osios, the 5 letters, mansapach. So what's his words again? He says by al yedei hamshachas chamesh osios, just by streaming them in. So we're going to try to sweeten them. Let's still understand how they get sweetened, or maybe, I'm not sure. Let's see. That's the first 2 letters, the malchus. They already got sweetened. How does that happen? Why only those 3 letters that wind up the ending letters? Okay, we'll take a little break for Hashem. That's our sponsor here. We should be circled to come close as possible to the light of his radiance. Here we go, trying to get into this now. And okay. So we're just working on them. Hu b'shum sheshnei ha'osios rishonos, which are man, which have a gematria of 90. So even before you got to the word Baruch, or Baruch Ato, those two words, they were already sweetened. So he said, B'milas upi, and where do we get this from? From the word ufi. That is this is a gematria of 96, or a gematria of 90. Yagi tehilasecha keniska the erem b'tefila shachris. Shachris the whole ki pi hu b'gematria man. According to this, I understand by saying the word, or your kavanah. When you say the word, you say adne sfasai tiftach, where we go here, ufi, and then the next words are upi, your mouth. So he says, Shnei ha'osios harishonos amansepach shehem man, nisak docha b'kuvanas adne. When you say the word adne sfasai tiftach, upi yagidi losecho, here's that word pi in there. Ki tevis pi oda geminyan man. And so he's telling me here, he's telling me that by having this kavanah, that you're bringing in when you say on the word pi, so therefore you are actually sweetening these two letters of the mansepach. V'lechein ein tzarich ata lachamtek v'lebasim ela gevuros tzepach. So here, excuse me. So then, ulabasam ela shlosh gevuros tzepach. That's the last three letters, because when you said the word P, your kavanah is that you're sweetening that already. V'kemen shegevacha v'nimtiku shtei osios man memansepach. Shuv ein tzarich lamatek v'lebasim ela shaar shlosha osios tzepach. So then you don't only have to worry about them. So now you have what do you have? Your kavanah is that you're streaming this rayo along with these other three letters. La'el nizkar. So now let's go up above and let's see what he said up above. One moment. He says, so la'el nizkar ki ata, all of the word ata itself, all of the gematria too. It comes to 406 communion riot spach, and it happens to be the same gematria as these letters. So he said the lohalon is boyer ketzad romazu shtei bechinos elul riot spach b'tevis atah. So later on we're going to see how it is that in the word atah, because we're only talking about one word here, that we get this whole concept of streaming in the rayo, which is 216 plus spach, plus the tzepach, which is going to come to the gematria of Ato. So he says the rayo really refers to that. I'm trying to see how that is. So it comes out to the first letters, the first letter of Atma min Ata, and then from V'atzpach, and then adding in this word, these three letters, tzepach, Heim Ramozim Hey Shal Ato, and that let's see how it goes. This is a reference to the Hey of the final Hey of the word Ato. Tavis, so you have the word Ato, so there's a lot to think about. This is all a word that's based on streaming. So you're going to be streaming this word down. Let's see how it goes here. He says Teva Achas, Teva Ata rather, Mitzchalakas the Shtei Chalokim. First you have the osios At, which we've said already. Ramaz is the rayo, which is a reference to rayo. So now, exactly what's the reference to rayo in the first two letters? I haven't quite got that yet. So he says we're going to talk about it later on. V'os hey Ramaz is l'tzepach, and then the fei. So the hey is divided to the last three letters of the mansepach. For Indian, he yosa kof base aspen bechinas rayo. That's the Indian question right there. Huba opens it. It's like this. Let me show you. He says, Ki hine kol oz mahakaf base asphon. Each one of the letters, of the 22 letters, kolula me'eses spheros, has incorporated within it 10 spheros. So that comes a gematria of 220. V'heim eser pa'amim kaf base, which gives you the word rach. So let's see, are just the two letters, which represent 220. So the Indian is like this. Echad mechakaf beis osius kolu me'es. Excuse me. Ha'inyan hu ki kol achad mekaf beis osius kolu me'es spheros ve'es pa'amim kaf beis. It's going to give you the number 220. L'lehiyozki mizbarach hu inyan rakos. It's verachamit, softness and mercy. Below kushi hadin, and not the real strict part of din. He says misbar rock, so he says this number rock. Well, we know that in Hebrew it means soft. Who ezer pa'amim is 20 times kaf beis osius of the 20 letters. Sheyesh called sphera that you find in every sphera. So first of all, it's a little bit of a chiddush there that he wants to say that within the letters themselves there are 10 spheros. Okay, so normally we don't talk about it that way, but let's see. So that, in other words, they have multiple aspects to them in the form of Rosh Hashanah. So let's go on. Meram is al rakos of rachamim, and it's a reference to really softness and mercy. The hefach ma'avodas yimei Rosh Hashanah, which is the opposite of the days of Rosh Hashanah. So that may be getting us a little bit more of an idea, inkling into how Ryo works, but we still don't see how you get 216 out of 220. So he said the hefach ma'avodas yimei Rosh Hashanah she'oskin behem, and because on those days we're dealing with, he said, Baham Shachas Gavuras Bakushi Adin. Of course, Rosh Hashanah is a time of to be of din. So I don't see here the reason here. So therefore, in order to be able to bring this mercy into you have to remove 4 osios from the 10. So he said V'yishara Ryo, and then instead of 220, you're going to have 216. Well, that's very convenient. So he said, "B'kadei shelo yihya rach osias hamramazes al rakos v'rachamim," and so therefore we're not trying to bring in the concept of rak, which is softness and mercy. So in order to be able to get it to this concept, well, it's really Gevura, you have to have this Kavanah that you're going to remove 4 letters from the rock. Yishar Misbar Ryo Shehu Kaminyan Gevura, and you're going to have left over the concept of Ryo. Barba Osias Eilcha Shanasir, so now you're removing these 4 letters, these 4 letters. Heim Arba Osias Gichak, which is really the sound that's produced by the palate. So he said, V'heim arba osios gechak, hashrashios bilvad, which are root letters. And I'm not sure what he meant by root, but let's just say that it's a root. I don't know. We'll find out. Arba osios shemaridich and barach osios, heim the osios gechak, avala osios hashrashios shall gechak, bilvad galon. And only the letters gechak, which are roots, as we're going to explain this. So now he says Pirush. We'll explain. So let's not forget that. So if you count them up, you get 40 letters. Now, how do we get to this? What was he talking about? Hine call os nechlalos me'eses spheros. V'nimsaki kasher maridin metoch racha osios. Now you're going to remove this. You're going to bring them out. The sak of arba osios, which are these particular letters, gimel, yud, chaf, and kuf, shehem kolulim ma'arba osios, and each one of them has 4 osios. Shehem kolulim ma'arba osios, hoya rosh yared b'menu rak, only sach arbaim osio below arba osio belvad. So let me read through this because I didn't really understand it. He says all letters, ki kol os nechlalos me'eses spheros. Okay, we don't have a problem there. V'nimsa ki kasher maridim metoch rach osius, as you subtract from the rach osius, sak arba osius, you're going to take these 4 letters gichak out of them. Shehem kolulim ma'arba osius, that each one of them, I think he means to say each one of them has 10 osius. I think it's a misprint. Hoya Rosh Yared Misbar Rock Sak Arba Osius below Arba Osius Bilvad. So you have to take out the 4 letters, but not just the 4 letters. Kuf Pei Osius, and then instead of you're going to take out 40 letters. And instead of doing that, you're going to have Kuf Pei, which is 180 letters below Raya, and it's not going to be a Raya. Shahari called Os Kalula Ma'asa because we had done that. We took the 22 letters, multiplied them by 10, and we got to the number 220. Then we say that we want to pull out 4 of the letters, but it's not just 4 letters, it's actually 40 letters, which is going to get you down to a number which is what? It was 220 minus 40, which is 180. But we don't take out the rest of it. And that's what he meant by the root letter. Because the root letter is just the gimel, for example, but the gimel has what? I don't know. It may be there's a drawing on the next page. It may be that there's 10 gimels. Yeah, there's a drawing on the next page. Let me just take a look at page Resh Tes Zion. And over here, you see this drawing in the Shefa Hakavanot down below where he shows you 10 times each one of the letters. It's interesting how it looks because the way that lines up by size-wise, but that's basically what it is. So each one of them there's your 220. So let's go back to number Kuf Hey. So vein ana masira rak arba osis gicha chashrashis bilvad. That's all we're taking out. It's going to be the root letters. So we're not going to take out so logically speaking, that's how do you do that? Kasher marida arba osis gicha, you take them out. We're not taking out the tens. But only take that out. So this is some kind of a divine understanding that the Rav has, that he's understanding that this is the mechanism of your kavanah. Who go os gimel kolulim as spheros v'gashecha meridim as hagimel shel gichach a meridim and call it as spheros or as os. We're not going to take down all the 10 letters over here. Shabbat. Ella as os gimel ashrashas bilvat, only the gimel. Now, so what's the mechanism that could do that? First, you got yourself to 220, and 220 was by 10 times 22. So now you're going to remove a root letter from it, which is these letters, particular. Why these letters? And then you're going to have only 10 letters left, 9 letters left. So in other words, I don't know what that meant. So he said, lama ana masirim arba osius elo below achero. So why are we taking out only the first letters of the 10? And we're not taking out the other 9. V'gam ein elu heim arak v'rachamim yoser min acheros. There's nothing specifically rachmanistic about these letters. Hatam shemaridim b'davka arba osius, and it's these specific letters which I said before, as we know, that these are the letters that refer to the sounds of the palate. So that's our question. Why would these letters be more soft, more merciful than any others? The whole thing is I'm still searching for the key, the panemius of this idea. So we'll keep searching. Inyan who's this? The Inyan is like this. So in fact, where do we get the 22 letters from? Well, the 22 letters come from the sounds that we're able to produce as we speak. You can divide them into 5 different sets of sounds made in the throat, the palate, and the mouth, etc. Who go chamesh osius dot lenet to, for example, those. So you use these are letters that really require the tongue in order to be able to say them. Because at the time that you're removing these letters, Mechapem misnoyim misanech haloshen. The tongue moves as you're saying that, so it's involved in the production of the letters. Shechalila ein lo lashon, which I was thinking myself because I talk all the time. So he says that the God forbid, ein lo lashon, a man has a damaged tongue or he has no tongue. Ein yochel levata osius elu, he's not able to pronounce these letters. V'arba osius achov, say for example, motziim derek agaron, that come from the throat. V'arba osius, excuse me, bumov, motziim derek hasfasayim, they come from the lips. V'arba osius of these four letters, gichak, motziim derek achech, they come from a person's palate. V'arba osius zashrats, those letters, motziim derek hashinayim. So he added that little bit of knowledge into the mix here. Still searching for the hook here, just exactly why you take the palate. So they're created as a result of joining together the throat and the palate. V'chagoren. Hine tequila yotzach hakol derek achech. First, the voice, that's the sound of your voice, comes out through your palate. V'achar kach niknas al hagoren. But before the palate is up above the goren. So he said v'achar kach niknas al hagoren. So then after that, these sounds go into the throat. V'nimseki kol kof beis osis boking techila metoch hachech v'hagoren. So he says all of the letters, to begin with, start out from this combination of the throat and he actually said the other way, between the palate and the throat. So first of all, there's a chiddush to me that it makes sense, but of that it starts in the throat. Starts in the palate. I would think that it started in the throat because you have the lungs and the air coming through it. He says, no, it's not like that. And from therefore, when you get to that, the voice starts to spread. And it goes out according to the utterances of the mouth, which are specifically the aspects of Chochmah Bina. Now, how does he mean this? Let's talk that this is Yichud. The Heinrich of Osius Gichak Achor. These are the let's say Achor is 5 letters. So these are 9 letters. Who Inyan Yichud Chochmah Bina. That's really what it is. It's the Yichud of male and female in the highest sense of Chochmah Bina. He Chochmah Meramet Bechech. Ubina Meramezes Begara. So therefore you see that by making a yichud over here, shehem abba ve'ima noldin zun, this has caused the birth of zun. So here we see this is a big thing. So this brings out zun, which apparently are the rest of the positions in the mouth, I guess, like that. So there we see when you make a yichud over there, Noldim shar motzah zepeh, that all of the rest of the motzah zepeh are born out, because this is Chochmah Bina, and the other 3 motzah zepeh is going to go through, I guess, das, zachar, v'nuk. So he's hina osis gichak. Let's take these 4 letters. Heim osis achech shehem Chochmah. They come from the highest possible place as far as utterance is concerned, which is the Chochmah of the mouth. And Misham is Pashno called Shaar Osius, and this is the place where everything starts. We'll take a little break here. We're getting close to the very our stop point here. And hoping that Rebbe's coming back. Here he comes. Okay, so now we're getting to the point here. I'm not sure what the point is. Is that you're trying to produce the number 216. Right? So v'nitnachu begarim shuhu bina. So then, in other words, osius gichak, which represent the palate. Hey, but bechinas chachma defisha hahevel leyotze mehalev. Now let's listen to this. He says that the breath. I'm going to call it the breath. hayotze mechalef, that comes out of the heart. Ola ubokea dechila elachech, it goes up from that position. So I think the heart here means like this is your intention. You're going to say something. You're going to say something. Dechila elachech, it goes from originally into the V'sham noitzer reishas hakol, and that is the birth of the beginning of the concept of voice. V'achar kach mispasha the gara, and then after that it spreads from the heich, comes from the heart. He said, which I think means intention, but we'll see how it goes. And he says it's sort of like a breath or an air of some sort. He said v'achar kach mispasha the gara, and then it goes into the throat shehi b'china bina haba ata b'chma achar hachachma, which comes after chachma. Umisham mispashtim kafes osius, and there we see the spread of the 22 letters. The nibsa shachahech hu shorish utechilas call the kafes osius. So this is like the place where the Mississippi River starts. It's that little spring way up in somewhere, I don't know, in Minnesota. Kederich spheres achachma, he nekudas shorish, so that the sphere of chachma is really the dot of the root, that place the spring sprouts. Now this whole thing that he said that was a little bit chiddushdik, where he says that this vapor, let's call it, that comes from the heart, which I said was an intention, he says that that's really almost nothing because there's no physicality to it. But the first place that it manifests itself is in the chech. Because this is what you want to do. You want to take the inspiration that's in the hech, which it wants to start the words going, and then mates with the garon. Notrim the noldim shar motzos apad. This is the place in which are formed and grow all the rest of the sounds that the mouth can make. And I guess that's it for today, because we got a long way. It's a very interesting Indian here. This is Baruch Fleischman. Tikkun Elevator Kollel.